Hello, welcome to The Wandering Drew. I am Drew. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I greatly appreciate it. I wanted to take some time out and just do an update on the channel, upcoming hikes, and make a hike announcement. First, I want to thank everyone that's been watching my videos for the past 3+ years or so. I never thought when I first started doing this that it would even actually go this long, or that other people would actually be interested in what I was doing. I mean, I know there's other people out there that are doing videos and recording their hikes and travels, and that was some of the inspiration for me to start the channel. But I just never really thought that it would continue going as far as it did. There's been a lot of changes. The show has evolved a little bit. I started doing all different things, some reviews. I tried doing a little food stuff. I don't think it worked out too well, or it didn't seem to take off to me. So the hike, so let's face it, that's the star of the show. So for those of you that have watched or subscribed or been watching for the past year, 2 years, 3 years, or however long, I want to thank you so much. It means a lot to me that I have people that are interested in what I'm doing, and I'm able to share that with you. So thank you. Next, I wanted to do a little medical update on myself. As you've just watched my last series of videos, I was on the Pinhoti Trail again, which I last went on in October of 2021, and I just came back from in October of 2023, and I had an injury. And after returning home, that obviously hike didn't take place as I planned. I went to see my sports medicine guy, same guy I've seen before for my knee and my ankle. And I was, that verdict was basically I had an injury to my tendon on my left leg. It was more an inflammation and probably a strain than it was it wasn't like a tear or anything, luckily. I was directed to not use the leg and not train or exercise for several weeks. So basically my injury was to my left leg. This is my left leg, the tendon, where it goes into the knee. It had become inflamed. My knee had actually swelled up, and I was getting intense pain while hiking, especially, well, it was downhill first, then it was uphill, and then it was every step. So I was directed to take 4 weeks off and allow the swelling and the inflammation to go down and that tendon to begin to heal itself. I actually did take 5 weeks off, and then I began walking slowly at my doctor's direction. And I was trying to take it slow. I waited to be re-examined after a week or two, and the doctor said everything looked good. They just took an x-ray. There was nothing further than that because they didn't believe it was anything more serious. And I have been walking for several miles each day without any complications. So I was then allowed to start it up. And as the doctor says, increase within normal amounts. Well, that's always been my problem anyway. So anyway, I've been doing that. I've added workouts now with a weighted backpack again. I'm back to doing rucking. I have not done any running though, which I think was the main culprit in me getting injured. Between the running and the rucking together, I think they were just really hard on my knees. So I've been doing the weights, the weighted backpack. It's about 35 pounds. I can do that for several miles. I walk sometimes without it. I've also visited a park nearby that has a hill with some moderate elevation changes, and I would do that repeatedly, and it's pretty much fine. I haven't really had any issue with it. However, on several of the longer walks or strenuous walks going up and down that hill, I have felt a little twinge, and sometimes the next day I've had a little soreness, but I think that's to be expected. So I am trying to do something I really have not done in the past, and that is listen to my body and not increase my activity too fast. So I have actually kept the mileage kind of low. The most I've done is 10 miles. This has really been my issue in the past. I'm what I describe myself as my worst enemy. I tend to push myself too far, too fast. And in the videos, you see that a lot where there's still daylight. I get to where I targeted. I just go further. I just push more. And I was very disappointed during the Pinhoti hike of how it turned out. In the videos you see in the Pinhoti, I'm a little emotional, I think, because I already had other plans hiked. So I was very upset with the way it turned out, because to me, all those things were like dominoes and they were starting to fall now. They weren't going to take place as I had planned. The inability to complete that hike, to me, especially with the thought that I might have an injury, threatened all my other plans that I had going. And that's what's on my mind, what I was thinking, although I didn't communicate that in the video as much, when I was contemplating the injury and you saw me discussing it in my videos. So prior to starting that hike, the Pinhoti hike, I had already planned 2 additional hikes for 2024. The first hike is to be a revisiting of the hike in the Everglades that I didn't get to complete last March. And that hike is in Big Cypress National Preserve. I will be going on the hike. I'm taking that hike in early February. Most likely, by the time you see this video, I will have completed that hike. I'm about a week and a half. Whoa, stop the video. I have an update. The video you're watching, I had recorded and uploaded and scheduled to be released on YouTube in the beginning of February, when I was scheduled to go on the hike that I was talking about at Big Cypress National Preserve with Stephen. Unfortunately, that didn't take place. We were unable, there was a conflict with the schedules, and we just didn't get to go, and I'm unable to reschedule that because I have a very narrow window for me to go on this hike, because I have another hike scheduled. And that hike is a little more involved and lengthy than the one in Big Cypress National Preserve. And the hike that I am undertaking is a northbound Appalachian Trail hike. Just finally saying it out loud, it blows my mind. It's just feels weird. I've been planning this for a long time. I've been talking about doing an AT hike probably for 16 or so years. I had registered my hike to go on the AT prior to going on to the Pinhoti. Since then, I've also purchased airplane tickets, booked a shuttle, and really got my gear sort of ready. So I will be starting the AT in late February, and I will be going north from Springer along the AT. I don't know if I'm physically or mentally ready for this hike, but like I said, after talking about it for so long, I feel I need to give it a try. I recently retired from work. Among many of the reasons that I did that, one of them was to try and complete a hike. Wasn't the only reason, but it's one of them. I don't think I'm mentally there in the game. My head is not totally in this hike. What is it, as Mighty Blue says, this should be the thing you want to do more than anything else in the world at the time that you do it, and I don't feel that I'm there yet. I think, as Early Riser would say, I'm firmly entrenched in my Matrix life. Part of that, the comfort of being home and not having the challenge of getting up every day and hiking, is part of it. Some of it is also leaving my family for a long period of time in what I feel is a very selfish endeavor. Even though I know it benefits all of us in the end, it certainly doesn't seem to do that in the short term. The long term, I think it's better for everyone. So I've always said mentally, I worry about that, being able to take myself out of my life for, potentially 6 months to do a hike. Never mind the chance of illness or injury, but that's always been my biggest challenge, I felt. So I find that very hard to undertake and rationalize. I do have my family support in going, but I don't think I've given myself permission to do that as of yet, totally or 100%. Recently, I've realized that perhaps I am not the hiker that wants to go away for 5 to 6 months to do a trail. Perhaps I am one that does like longer trails. I like the distance, I like the journey, but perhaps what I mean is that I like long distance trails in the sense of I like going out longer than a weekend or, an overnighter, but perhaps something as long as the AT is too long. So that being said, I have decided that I'm going to the trail and I'm going to start hiking north. And I'm going to do it one day, and then hopefully I'll do it the next day and the next day. And I hope to stay out there so I can complete the whole trail. But if coming off the trail, is what's best for me. Maybe doing it in sections, or going back later this year, or going back over several years to complete the trail is what's best for me. Then I'm giving myself grace or permission to do that. And I think by doing that, I've taken some of the pressure or the heaviness of rationalizing a 2,200 mile hike, which I cannot do. It's just, I can't wrap my head around that. So I'm hoping that I will go out there after hiking day to day to day, that I will become so invested in my hike that I will stay out there and complete the trail. Another thing is, I'm also hoping that I have learned from my mistakes. I say this before, I am my own worst enemy, as I said earlier, and what you just saw me discuss in the beginning part of this video is how I go out there, and my go-to, my default setting is to hike. And if I get to where I set, if I get my mileage done early, I just keep going generally. If there's daylight left, I just go longer. And I think I'm going to try to not do that. I say for the first week or so, at least that's what I keep telling myself, that I'm going to hold my mileage down somewhere in the neighborhood of 8, 10, maybe 12 miles, seeing how I'm feeling in the terrain, obviously, in the weather. But I'm going to try to do that. It means for longer times in your tent and in your head by yourself, but I'm hoping that this will allow me to stay mentally in a good place, but more importantly, physically in a good place, so I can stay healthy and continue hiking. But I want to be clear, my intent is to go out there and hike from Georgia to Maine. I am also hoping that the trail will embrace me, give me peace and adventure, and allow me to stay out there and hike. I don't have many other plans other than what I just mentioned, because I think making plans more than a day or two out is really futile. There's no way of knowing what the terrain is going to be like in terms of what you're going to get that day, whether how you're feeling, the environment in terms of the weather, is it going to be cold, is it going to be rainy, is it going to snow, is it going to be ice, people I'm going to meet, am I going to want to hike with someone else or hike by myself, how you're feeling that day, illness, injury, just don't know. So I think making plans more than a day or so out is really just a waste of time. My plan is just to go and hike north and go where the trail takes me. And I have decided to start in February, earlier than most people, because I want to go hiking in colder weather. I like colder weather. A lot of people don't like the cold weather. Obviously, when you're hiking, it feels better. The problem usually comes at night when you're in your tent for long hours, the temperature drops and you're cold. And that's usually where most people get into trouble. I'm hoping that this will not be an issue for me. I generally like the colder weather. It feels better hiking during the day. It will also allow me to get out there and avoid the very congested times which are coming with the bubble, as they say. However, I have been looking at the numbers, and there are a lot of hikers out there already. There are plenty of hikers that are already started. I don't think there'll be any shortage of other people to hike with or to meet. So I think I'll be able to have that typical social experience on the trail if I want that. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of other hikers that will start later, and more of them will probably pass me by because they're just stronger hikers. So I don't think there'll be any shortage of people out there. I also want to finish a little earlier because I do have other things going on outside of hiking. Like all of us, the trail time for us doesn't stop life outside for our families and our loved ones. And later on in the year, I have some things, so I'd like to finish earlier in the hiking season if possible. The injury did set me back a little bit. However, I have been training, not as much as I would have liked. I am nowhere near being trail ready in my mind. I've been doing several miles per day walks, usually with a weighted backpack. It will probably be lighter than my actual backpack that I'm going. However, where I train generally is flat. So the Georgia mountains will be a good training ground for me for the first week or so. I have the support of my family for this hike. However, I don't know if I've given myself permission to fully embrace that. Like I said, I feel this is a very selfish endeavor, and I'm trying to rationalize taking myself out of my family's life and away from my loved ones for the 4 to 6 months that this hike will take. So, like I said, I'm hoping I'll just go out there, I'll hike day to day to day, and I'll become invested in this hike and so motivated to finish it and do the trail, that I will complete the hike. I have attempted to take care of all the things that I possibly can, basically with home and business and work and everything that I think could distract me or take me off trail. Some things are unavoidable, I can't do. Some things are beyond our control. So I have to accept that. But I think this is the best time for me to go. Originally, I planned on going in 2025, but by retiring early, I think now is the time. So my gear is ready, and I will shortly be leaving to Georgia. On a personal level, I cannot thank my wife enough for making this even possible. She is more encouraging and supportive than I could ever have imagined. Just goes to show you that I did something right 30 plus years ago. I am planning on making videos as I hike and progress along the trail, and I will be posting them on the channel. I hope that you'll understand what I'm doing and my reasons for doing it, and that perhaps you will decide to follow along on this trip as I attempt an AT through hike northbound from Georgia. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and watching this video. Till we meet again.